news to hand, hot off the press. A new crocodile has been found in Australia, fossil-wise. They describe it as endemic to Australia, which I presume means sort of comes from here, found around here. Native to a certain extent. Native to gets very difficult when you're talking crocodiles, because you're going back a long, long time to the time of the dinosaurs. And I don't even know where all the continents were at that point in time. Maybe we were joined to something else back then. I don't know. I can't remember all the timelines of tectonic plate movement and all that sort of stuff. Right. But it's not the first new old endemic crocodile to be found in Australia, but it is a new one. All the other new old ones that have been found before are not new old ones anymore. They're old ones. And as I was reading the article, I learned that the modern Australian crocodile, salties, and so on, are not native to here. Didn't know that. They got here only a few million years ago. Only a few million years ago. That's a long time. It's sort of native by now, maybe. But, no. Origins in Africa, whereas with dinosaurs and all that sort of thing, such as crocodiles a long time ago, God knows where they came from, but they've, this one has been found only here, so we'll call it from Australia. Now it's a few million years old. Now, carbon dating can't be used to go back that far. I've learned this in some geology books I've been listening to. Carbon dating is a little bit like a yo-yo. When you put a yo-yo down, it goes down only so far and stops and sort of spins there and then comes up again and tells you where it's been. Carbon dating's a bit like that. You throw the old carbon dating yo-yo down to see how, you try and test some fossil or something. How old's this fossil? Throw the yo-yo down. The carbon dating will go back so far as 40,000 years, but no further, give or take. It's all to do with the half-life of carbon-14. Whereas rocks, for example, uranium especially, they've got a half-life, those things, of, I think, a couple of billion years. Don't quote me on the actual figures. I think carbon, 14, as it decays to whatever it decays to, hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, one of those. Oh no, it would decay to something higher because it's 14 neutrons. Can you decay up? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, nitrogen, carbon, BCNO, fluoride. No, I don't know what it decays to. But it decays anyway, carbon-14, and maybe a half-life of 5,000 years. I don't know. But by the time you go back 40,000 years, that's half, times a half, times a half, times a half. And by the time you get to 40,000 years, there's so little carbon-14 left that the errors in testing overwhelm, and the pollution in the air probably even overwhelm any accuracy you might find in carbon dating when you get back to 40,000 years. But uranium testing, for example, and other ores and so on, and elements and minerals, and I've heard they can be, one item can be millions of years, one can be billions of years. Radioactive material, i.e. material that can decay, atoms that can decay, and nuclei that can decay. So you can test rocks going back a long way. So, Indigenous Australians, we can carbon date, Mungo Man and Lady Mungo. I wonder if they were a couple. And we carbon date those guys back to about 40,000 years ago. But if we find another skeleton, don't dig it up. That's granny. But, if there's no Indigenous people around and you dig it up, you're not going to get, even if it's 50,000 years old, you're not going to be able to carbon date it back that far. And I think what they do, the geologists, the archaeologists, they very carefully dig it up and they look around and they date things around the skeleton, and then they know, if it's stuck in ancient volcanic ash or something, maybe they can carbon date the volcanic ash itself, or the strata, blah blah. I don't know how it all works. And there's other methods besides carbon dating that they use. Luminescence, don't even know how it works, but I've heard of it. And they can use these things to carbon date other things. Like, and in this way they can find, let's say, a stone tool or a shell midden or something. Not just in Australia, shell middens all over the world. And they can date shell middens and stone tools by just carefully dating everything around them, when they dig them carefully out of a rock face. But they've got to be careful how they dig it out, to make sure that that stone tool belongs to that bit of rock that you're dating. So in that way, I presume they were able to date this crocodile, this crocodile endemic to Australia, to a few million years ago, quite a few million years ago, I think. And they discovered it is, endemic to Australia. It's native enough. It's more native than anything that's native these days, I suppose. Nothing in Australia right now can claim it goes back millions of years in its own form, in its current form. Can they? Can it? Your little sparrows that might have been a brontosaurus once. But no, this is anything that's endemic to Australia a few million years ago, I call that super native. But anything that's been here only 50,000, 100,000, 2,000, 200 years like us, we Europeans, all of us, that's all a blink of an eye, whether it's 200, 2,000, 20,000, 40,000, 60,000, 100,000, it's getting more of a slow blink. But even 100,000, it's only a tenth of a million, so it's sort of a blink. And a million is, a whole 10 seconds of thinking about that. And a few million years ago, when the modern crocodile, when the non-native crocodiles got to Australia, that's a good, what's that? That's a good 30 seconds. That's a good half a minute ago. You can sit there listening to, thinking about that. That's native. That's super native. All right, not wanting to underplay how native I am, because I've been here for 200 years. That's a long time. Anyway, so what have we got? All right, I've discovered something today that that the modern crocodile here in Australia is what I would call super native, really. It's been here for millions of years, but it's not super duper native. Super duper native are these endemic crocodiles that they've discovered skull-wise, skeleton-wise. And they were here first, or before. Way back, God knows. Were there even countries back then? Were there even continents where they all half joined together and all that sort of stuff? Were we joined to Antarctica back then, and so on and so forth? Was there even animals, or was it just bacteria under the ice sheets, and snowball Earth and all that sort of stuff? But that's what I've learnt today, that there used to be crocodiles here in Australia, as we might call it. Maybe back then it was called something else. Maybe this goes back to before Sahul, which is what they call Australia and New Guinea and Tasmania combined during the last ice age, which I think of the Pleistocene. I like calling it the Pleistocene. But going back even further than that, that's native. Okay, so there were, yes, this crocodile that we've just found is endemic to Australia, which I call super duper native. And the modern crocodile emigrated from Africa and then immigrated here to Australia only a few million years ago. That's an insult to my ancestors who got here a whole 200 years ago, saying only a few million years ago. That's an insult to me. It's an insult to the Indigenous Australians too. It's all, it's all relative, really. I read a book with my ears recently, Deep Time Dreaming, and the deep time in that book referred to anything that was 40 or 50,000 years ago. But super-duper deep time is on a whole other scale, and that's when all these crocodiles were living, these crocodiles that are endemic to Australia. They died out, just like the dinosaurs, and maybe later than the dinosaurs, because crocodiles, they know how to hang around a little bit. And then other African crocodiles came here only a few million years ago. That's the end of the news.